Hello, everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of We Know Scripted TV's coverage of the sex lives of college girls. I am your host, Sasha Joseph, of course, always joined by my co host, Chappell. Welcome. We're back.
Yeah, we're back. The season of Sex Lives of College Girls is over, but we have more stuff to talk about. And I'm so excited because this is going to overlap into many of our interests. This is going to be a very
Yes.
fun interview, I'm sure.
Yes, because listen, we're not alone. If you're listening to us instead of watching us, we're not alone. We're joined, of course, by Beth Appel, a writer, performer, director, reality TV mega fan who currently was writing for the sex lives of college girls and, of course, has written for Our First Love, Never Have I Ever. So, listen, welcome, Beth. We are so excited.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Yes.
Yes.
And thank
So
you for
good to see you.
pronouncing my name right.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
You
looked
nailed
it
it.
up.
I mean,
I
it is-
always get in trouble for this.
it's part of one of your names. Like
Correct.
my
Correct.
name is within your name. It's the middle. So,
Correct.
but you nailed it. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Listen, we do what we can here. But seriously, we're so excited because listen, Beth reached out to us saying that this is something we could do, and Chappelle and I said when.
Yeah,
'Cause let's do it immediately.
right. Because Beth, you, like Sasha said, you have written on, of course, this show that we love so
Mhm.
much, Sex Lives of College Girls, but also Never Have I Ever. And that was the show that the first show Sasha and I ever covered and podcasted about. And so we got a ton of questions about like how we got to this point, how you started. Just catch us up on everything. I guess how have you been?
I mean, thriving for sure. Yeah. So in terms of like how I got to like writing for TV.
Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, I started as an actor and I went to college for that. And through college, I started doing comedy, mostly sketch comedy and writing, and kind of just started to enjoy that a lot more than I was enjoying like acting and Chekhov plays and things like that. So after college, I moved to New York City. And I just got super involved in the comedy world there. And my thought was, I'll just be a like improv comedian for a living, which is like not a career at all. But in my mind,
Why not?
I was like, let me take my college degree and go become an improviser. And through that, I kind of realized that like maybe writing was a little bit more of something I enjoyed, to like a thing where you could create something that existed after the show and could actually be a career. So I did a bunch of comedy writing in New York, where I met a ton of collaborators and other funny people. Then I moved to LA about 10 years ago to like really focus in on TV writing as a career. And I kind of like dicked around in LA for a while, not doing that, doing more comedy. And then started to like get some jobs here and there through recommendations of people I connected with in the comedy community. And actually my first script I wrote was a pilot about 4 girlfriends. And yeah, so
Wait a minute now.
I know. So I wrote that and when I first moved to LA, and the showrunner of Sex Lives, who I'd met in New York, was like, I want to show your pilot to Mindy and get you in for an interview for this show. I don't know if he remembered, like he had definitely seen the pilot. We used to like send pilots to each other and give each other notes. But then I interviewed and I was on College Girls. We call it College Girls weirdly, but like I feel like, well, when I first read the pilot, it was called College Girls. And then the name changed. So I worked on that. And then through getting to know Mindy on that and getting a recommendation to the showrunner of Never Have I Ever, I got hired to do that to write on that between seasons of College Girls. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years or so.
Love that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you're saying that College Girls, or Sex Lives of College Girls, whatever you want to say, was first before Never Have I Ever?
Yeah. So I was I watched season 1 of Never Have I Ever, and I was like, this is the greatest show I've ever seen in my life. I was like huge super fan as like, 1, someone with a dead dad, 2, a former, you know, when I was in high school, like just a liar who was also very horny. Like I really connected to all the characters in that. And so season 1 existed. Season 2 was, I think, being written while we were doing season 1 of College Girls. And then I wrote on season 3. So it was cool to go in as like already, like I've seen the show and I love it and I love the characters. And then they ended up writing season 4 of Never Have I Ever while we were writing season 3 of College Girls.
Wow.
Yeah. So you get put in like what's called position. So I was in first position on College Girls. So when that came back, I had to go back to that. Like you don't really get to choose, or I guess if you were a lot more powerful than me, you would like have a choice, but I'm merely a cog. And so they were like, okay, you're going back to College Girls.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit further before we get into your time at College Girls, obviously. But you were a part of the Upright Citizens Brigade. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have 2 older sisters who are very cool, and one of those very cool older sisters introduced me to UCB when I was maybe in like middle school or high school in Denver. And so when she moved to New York after college and I would visit her and she would take me to UCB shows. And that was like where like Rob Hubel, who plays Leighton's dad on College Girls, comes from. It's also where later like Abby and Alana from Broad City got their start, and Kate McKinnon. But when I was going, it was like old school, all of the kind of elder statesmen. Like it was founded by Matt Walsh and Amy Poehler, Ian Roberts, and Matt Besser, who are all just like comedy legends. And so yeah, my sister introduced me to it. I did an internship at a different comedy theater between junior and senior year of college and took a class at UCB, took my first class at UCB. And I was just like, yeah, these are the people I want to be around. I don't want to be around theater people anymore. I'm sure there are very nice theater people, but I found comedy people to be a little bit more my speed. And so yeah, UCB is like, they have sketch, they have improv. It's like less, they have stand-up classes now. They didn't at the time, but it was more sketch and improv. And you can audition for house teams as well. So, and I'm like super competitive. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm going to get on one of those teams, whatever it takes. So I did all of that in New York and then moved to LA, and there's a theater in LA as well. So I kind of like transferred my experience to LA and got on some teams there. And then I was also the artistic director of the theater in Los Angeles for a little while. Because again, I'm like, a higher position that I could ascend to that's competitive, I will achieve that. But I quit that in like 2019.
Wow, that's so relatable for me personally, as probably someone that's very competitive. I would also love to hear a little bit about your time on Adam Ruins Everything, because that's, to me, that is, as a immigrant that moved to America, that's a show almost that felt like my intro into American history.
Really? Wow.
I used to watch it a lot to understand things that, but it felt very digestible and very much like, okay, this is this thing we're gonna compactly explain. And then now I could do the research now that I have a basic understanding.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, Adam Conover and all of the people that did Adam Ruins Everything, I had also known from the comedy world. So they had been, I think they were making like short versions of Adam Ruins Everything, right? Before the show. I didn't watch a ton of it, but I do say one line on it. I like basically like I have become a go-to for people that are looking for someone that like kind of knows how to act and like will say a line funny. Is how I would describe
love
my
it.
skills. Like, I studied theater. I'm in
Mhm.
SAG. I can do it, but I don't like. I'm not gonna like transform into a character. I'm just kind of
Mhm.
gonna say it like me. So yeah, I think they just kind of like called me up and they were like, "Hey, want to say a line?" I say like I'm like a like someone sweeping the floor in like a convenience store. It was so long ago. We shot overnight.
I
My
love
memory of
this.
it is crazy, but so yeah, I did that. And I used to like help by recommending people that were
Got
funny around the theater community to them. So I think they were like, let's just give Beth a part on this. But yeah, it was other than shooting overnight at like a Rite Aid or something, it
Right.
was super fun. Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
that's
really
cool to
cool.
know that it was educational. I never thought of it that way. I was just like, these are just my friends making a show.
Of course. And I
Yeah.
think that that's why I enjoyed the vibe because it was you could connect with the folks and especially obviously with Adam, but in general, and it felt like vibey, but then you would end up understanding what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And I wish we had that now. I'll just leave it at that.
He made another show called The G Word.
Yes.
Did that,
Mhm.
and then, but that's gone now. I mean, they started to write that like pre-pandemic, and it was about like
Wow.
that government, and then the
Mhm.
pandemic it's hard to write a topical show. I would not like, especially if you're writing it and it's airing months later. Like Daily Show is
Oh,
one
fair.
thing, but yeah, I
Mhm.
think they were trying to write it and then air it, and like later that year, and everything just changed. So yeah.
Yeah, I read that it started a week before, like the writing started a week before the COVID-19 lockdowns, and that just trying to put yourself back in that headspace of just what it was to be so uncertain with what tomorrow would bring, and
Yeah.
then trying to write a show as well. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, speaking of shows, you
Yes.
are a reality TV mega fan. Now, I told Sasha I was gonna have to step in and have a sidebar
Yes.
with you about this.
Yes.
Tell
Please.
me about our overlap here. What reality shows do you like? What have you been watching? Tell me everything.
I watch so many reality shows.
Yes.
Most of my life is spent watching reality shows and then being like, okay, I guess I have to watch some scripted television because that's my
One
job.
of us. One of
One of us.
I have watched every season of Survivor in real time. I'm not like a pandemic. I watched it all, and I do judge those people.
Yes. Same.
No, I'm
They're
glad
not
people
us.
got into it, but I watched
They
it in
not
real
like us.
time. They're not like us. They're different. They're different.
Mm-mm.
Thank you. So I watched that, and then I watched all the shows that started at that same time. So Big Brother,
Mhm.
Amazing Race, and I still watch Big Brother, and I have a very good friend who is a feedster who keeps me updated, so I don't have to become one. Although,
We also have a friend like that. Yeah.
Yes, me Taryn
It was Karen
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
yeah, right. You have to have a friend who's a feedster.
Oh,
And then
man.
since, I mean, literally everything, it started with like Top Model, and then now
Oof.
more currently, I watch
love
like, well, the only show I ever want to talk about now is Deal or No Deal Island.
Yeah, Dondi.
Yes.
You can't do this to ship.
I am obsessed with Deal or No Deal Island. The current season is like great. Like season 1, I actually stopped watching as soon as Rob was gone. I mean, I made it really far in,
Just
and then I
very
was
far
like,
to stop. Yeah.
but I was like, don't care anymore. Goodbye.
Mhm.
But I think season 2 is really good so far. So I watched that. I mean, you name it, I watch it. The only show that I watch that's like non-competition is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay. That's a good one too.
That's a good
So
one.
I'll allow it. I love
Thank
that.
you so much. But my friends are always trying to get me to do all the Bravo shows, but I'm very, very busy
Fair.
with competition reality, not work or anything. But yeah, there was like that really bizarre golden age of like, did you ever watch like Kid Nation?
Oh yes.
Or like
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wayne Newton's reality show, The Entertainer, where he was like finding the next Vegas superstar, like all of those.
Oh,
My friends and I
yes.
were obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah. Any show where you're finding the next best blank, we were there. Okay, the next chef, the next
Do you
home
remember
designer,
making the band?
the next band,
Because I
the next
watched
member of
that.
TLC. We were looking for all of them back then.
All of those. Yeah.
Crazy times. Sasha is an Amazing Race super fan. That's one of my blind spots.
Do you still have you watched every season?
Yeah.
The family seasons?
Yep.
Wow.
You see her behind her. She got her Amazing Race in her background. You see it?
Wow.
For my 30th birthday, my husband surprised me with a bunch of my friends and did a Amazing Race, like whole thing in my not neighborhood, but in my city. And we had we had to go to all basically my favorite spots.
Yeah. Did you win?
No, because I got too excited. And this is the first time in my life that I wasn't competitive about something. And it was very weird. Like all my friends were like, "Are you okay? Is it okay that we beat you?" And I was like, "No, like I'm just overwhelmed that this is so fun that I'm going to all my favorite spots." So I ended up at the library and I should have like moved fast, but I ended up checking out a book. I was like, well, since I'm here, then we went to the Indian store and ended up getting snacks. So
sure. You were like the couple on season 1 that like stays at the hotel overnight.
Yeah. That just ends up hanging out.
They're just like, I guess we'll just hang out at the hotel for 12 hours. And then they were like, you're last. Why did you do that?
Listen, and the thing is, I did not come in last. So that was fine.
But
great. Yeah, unfortunately. No, I appreciate, the Amazing Race. So I'd love to know that if you were to rewrite any of these, maybe Survivor or something, like, would there be a way you make a season more appealing?
Like of an actual reality?
Yes.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's a hard
mastering.
That's a hard question because I do feel like the writers on those shows they're doing a great job. That used to be like my dream. I was like, I just want to be like a writer for Survivor, which is a thing and a job, which I don't know how to get. I have no idea like how I feel like you would start as like a PA and like work your way up, but I truly have no idea. How would I rewrite one of those shows to make it better? Well,
you can pick the family Amazing Race.
This would maybe not apply to that, but I love a showmance. I'm always gonna put in like some sort of like a season with a showmance is just a season I like of anything.
Honestly, same, so I get it.
Yeah. I think it's difficult to say because sometimes when there's a season where like one person is really dominating and you just know they're going to win, it's really gratifying. Like I feel like the season Boston Rob won where he like, created a cult. And then like when people talk to other people and he won, I enjoyed watching that. And then there's other seasons where you're like, this person's dominating and they're going to win in 3 episodes and it's a little bit of a slog. So those episodes I would maybe zhuzh up a little bit, maybe make it a little less obvious that they're gonna definitely win. I actually think the most recent season of Survivor did a pretty decent job of that, where it was kind of like, well, we kind of know who's gonna win, and then even to the end it was like, wait, am I wrong about that?
Right.
So but yeah, maybe a little more uncertainty. I miss the airport intrigue on The Amazing Race.
Don't even get me started. First, COVID, the things that ruin, the number one on my list, airports. So The Amazing Race. Because when they were on that big ass whatever, Dreamliner, I was like, no, it just been the whole show because Chappelle, they used to like have to manipulate different like ticketing agents or whatever to get the best fights, but because and then it was like going down slowly, I would say already, but then COVID like solidified it where they just, because of COVID, they all got put on one like big rented plane. And then they would just like go to each spot and then they would start like staggered. But we've had people miss a connection and then end up in a different country for like 12 hours.
Oh, my people.
They were being greedy. Yeah, because they were being greedy trying to get on a faster flight. Yeah. So that's what used to make The Amazing Race. Because The airport drama was outrageous. And imagine loud Americans in other countries.
Yeah.
We used to be a proper nation. You know, they used to let us show our
Yeah.
ass like that. You know,
And now you just go
COVID
to
took
jail.
that from us. Yeah.
curses.
Yeah.
Not to pivot away from reality TV too quickly, but we have to talk about the scripted
Yes.
stuff. You say you do find time to watch scripted television, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
What are your scripted shows that you've been enjoying?
Well, as we're recording this, Severance is back.
Yes.
Very happy to have Severance back. And I feel like it picked up just as great as it left off. Really enjoying that. This is like the most old person answer I could possibly give, and you're gonna be like, what is wrong with you? Any Robert and Michelle King show, so like Good Fight, Good Wife,
Elsbeth?
those I do watch Elsbeth.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I watch it as well.
Oh,
My
good. Yeah.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny because we also, my husband and I will watch Survivor, and our favorite thing is when her ad takes up like a third of the screen.
Yeah.
We just both go, get out of here, Elsbeth, you rascal. So that's kind of our thing.
I've been looking for validation because I keep telling people like, I think I want to start watching Elsbeth, and once a week somebody messaged me like, I think you should. I think it's really good. It's really charming. So this is definitely what I needed for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's like a lighter version of Poker Face, kind of, if you liked Poker Face. Or if you didn't, it's different.
Someone in the comments being like, how dare you? Elsbeth is a national treasure.
If you liked it, it's the same, and if you didn't like it, it's different.
I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. I'm a good case, is like whatever those ABC, those network shows, I love them. I watch them all.
A fun like procedural. It's like not too deep. I think what Robert and Michelle King do really well is they create season arcs that are really fun and mysterious and satisfying, but then I think they're like the masters of that, plus an episodic story that's really satisfying too, which is so hard to pull off. Yeah.
Big agree.
What else? Wait, what are the other shows that are on the air right now? Hacks. I love Hacks.
Oh yes. Do you watch High Potential?
I haven't, but I heard it's great.
Yeah, I was like, if you like Elsbeth, I feel like you're gonna like High Potential.
Yes, I think I would like High Potential. I heard good things about that.
Yeah, I just finished this season. It was really fun.
Nice. Yeah. I liked The English Teacher.
Ooh.
I heard it was very funny.
Yeah. Any new comedy I'll watch and enjoy. Abbott, love Abbott.
Yes. Abbott is my baby. Never have I ever was my first child, but Abbott is my baby. Like this.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's very smart as well. So I'm assuming like you consume a lot of comedy, because Severance is a comedy too, right? In a way, it's like a dark, like almost like a dramedy, I guess I'd say. Is comedy kind of like your bag as far as consumption as well?
I probably like watching like funny dramas a little bit more, only because they're easier for me to like let go and enjoy. Comedies are a little more like I'm dissecting them, and it feels more like work to watch a comedy, but I like doing that. But then I also watched Presumed Innocent, which I thought was great. Like things like that are really fun to watch because they're just like outside of the realm of what I work on, and I can just enjoy them. Severance feels kind of the same way too. Yeah,
I love that. You talked about Never Have I Ever, coming in later, which I find to be really actually more interesting as well, because Davy is such a complex character, and that's my girl, right, to the end. But I'd love to know, from you as a writer on that show, like, what do you feel, right, inspired this development? Because finally it felt like season 2 and then 3, she was growing up. And how do you feel like you and all of you, the collective you as well, were able to really approach balancing this flaws with her growth and strength? Because that feels like really exciting for me to be like, oh, she's actually growing up.
Yeah, what a great question. I mean, Yeah, I can really not like take a ton of credit.
Right,
Like,
of course.
I would, but that would be insane.
Yes.
And also a lie. So I won't. But I think what makes that show so great and the character development great is that the writer's room was full of really, really smart women who had gone through a lot of those same things
Mm.
and had come out the other end as like not a psycho.
That's my girl.
Like truly. But it's like, I don't know about you, but I still will have a dilemma or a situation in my life where I'm like, all I want to do is approach this in the most inappropriate, toxic way possible.
Mhm.
But we know that we can't and we won't anymore. Usually.
A woman after our own heart. Okay. We call each other the problematic faves.
We
so.
really are.
Yeah.
Like we legit have to have like meetings. I'll call Sasha. Look, I'm about to flip the table. Stop me. And she's like, okay, come back. I really wish I had that kind of growth. So I have to lean on other people for that.
Yes. Yeah. I also have those friends where I'm like, here's what I want to do. You tell me if I'm allowed to. And they're like, absolutely not. The answer is do nothing. I'm like, okay. So I think that it really is to the writers, the credit goes to the writers' room and the creators. And obviously Mindy has like, all of us had gone through all the things that Davy went through, and Eleanor and Fabiola and Anissa, like truly everyone. And so it was easy to be like, to think back to like, how did I deal with this when I was in 9th grade? And then how would I have dealt with it now? And then kind of find that middle ground of like, she's still in high school, but she's no longer new to it. She's had these experiences that are making her a little bit smarter and to allow her to grow the same way that we had. So I think that's it. I mean, it also helped that Maitre came in as like a teeny tiny baby and had never had a like TV acting job before, and was immediately great and is like the coolest person, but she grew up as well. Like, I think it all coalesced together. And Jaron, the guy who plays Ben, similarly was also like a baby when the show started. And I think watching her grow up with the other people growing up around her brought her maturity level, the character's maturity level, and us as the audience, like visually, we're seeing them grow up too.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never put that visual together.
Yeah. I don't think I got to the place she was ever, like, or not ever, like till I was like 30.
Till college. Yeah. At least. No, actually, Sex Lives of College Girls is even more relatable. I'll just say that.
Well, Sasha would tell me when we were talking about Never Have I Ever, she would say, oh, well, you have to watch Sex Lives of College Girls because it's like if Davy went to college. And then the first episode I watched, I was like, not my Davy. My Davy, she better come home now. So I would love to hear kind of how that translates for you as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's really fun about Bella is that she is like really bad at school. Like her when she says she got a 4 on the test is like my favorite moment ever. Like, it just makes me laugh every time I think about it. And I think that also felt like that happened to me in college to some extent. Like, I worked really, really hard in high school. I went to a really competitive high school. I was in the International Baccalaureate program. No big deal.
Oh, yeah. The IB.
Yes. And everyone was like, I'm going to an Ivy. And I applied to 12 schools and I only got into 2 of them. And so I was like, well, I'm ready to slum it at the one of the 2 at Vassar, the one of the 2 schools I got into. And I just got so sidetracked by like extracurriculars. And I mean, boys, not in the same way as Bella, boys where I like, none of the girls, like boys where I would want to date them, but it was not, they didn't want to date me. I like broke up with my high school boyfriend before I went to college. And I was like, catch you later. I'm about to go date a college boy. And then I got to college and all the boys were like, should have stayed with Randy. But
get out of here, Vassar boys.
They were not interested. But yeah, so I too struggled with like some on the academic side, and like there was like a semester one year where I like had to ask for extensions on like every class, and all of my professors were like, could you turn your homework in like by halfway through the spring semester for this class? And I was like, yeah, sorry I didn't do it. I was just like busy. Or like, but you're in college. So I do like that about Bella in a way that like makes her different from Davy in terms of like it being a show where like Davy went to school and all her friends are so high achieving and never have I ever. And yeah, they're a little bit messier and they fail classes, I think, a lot more than anyone I never have I ever would.
Honestly, so relatable because same. My first year, because I joined a sorority, my first semester, and school was just so easy at high school that I never thought I had to work hard or go to class. Big fail. My mom to this day brings it up, and I was like I got a master's. Like I think we're okay.
You turned it around.
But as an Indian Indian Jewish kid, you can only imagine the double stress that was in my house. But you know, you talked a lot or you touched on this a little bit where, you know, talking about these your identities or the writers' identities in general. And I think both shows are able to kind of find a way to like bring in identity, culture, relationship, family dynamics. How do you again make sure that these elements feel authentic, right, while bringing in the funny, especially for maybe characters that, you know, you don't one-to-one identify with?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always a way in for the most part. If you can tell if it's a good story because you can relate to it without relating to the specifics of it. So like Whitney is this great athlete, which I also am. No, I am not at all. Which I really relate to. She's a great athlete. I did not, you know, I played some intramural sports, but never anything else. And I was really bad at them. But her story of like I never dated a coach or a teacher, but I can relate to making a mistake and dating someone I shouldn't, who is, or trying to date someone who is in a relationship. Like that's universally relatable. So I think as soon as you can reach that point of like, even though I don't know this experience, I can feel this experience. That's when you know that you've hit on something really good. And then at other times we've had stories where we've been like, okay, this story is going to be about like Kimberly. She's like overscheduled her day and her planner is so full and it just has writing everywhere in it. And then we like go home for the night and we come back and we're like, is that story like boring and no one cares about it? And then we're like, yeah, I don't care if my planner has too much written in it. So it's a balance between like relatable but also interesting. And because we don't watch TV, I don't think, to watch all of our like everyday struggles. Like I don't need to watch someone shop at Target and then return 75% of what they bought. That's just like, I'm already living that every week. So yeah, I hope that answered.
Yeah, 100%. No, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I have a question about just the women of the show and how they kind of deal with conflict. I think the writing is so smart when it comes to the interplay between each of the main characters, because there's not, I was telling Sasha this and I can't really figure out a way to verbalize what I'm trying to say, but like, there's not a lot of like girl on girl crime here, right? Every time there's a beef, that it feels like it could get really dark or really toxic between the women. I'm thinking of even like Bella and, you know, sleeping her way to the middle, you know, and like all the girlfriends that were left in the wake, you know, of that, you know, and how they tidy that up so quickly. Or even with Whitney and Kimberly having the same guy, you know, and like that never really permeates as something that is just going to tear the group apart or even just really be really damaging to them in the show. How do y'all navigate that as the writers? Because I don't think I've ever seen a show do it this well.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I mean, I think Never Have I Ever, especially in the first season, did an especially good job of like girl friendship fallout and winning that back. So that was really inspirational. And they do more girl on girl stuff, I think, on Never Have I Ever. Like all the way through. Like there's even to into season 4. I think on College Girls, I think the idea is like it's the girls against the world, and we just keep that in mind. Like it's just like more fun to watch them fight together against injustices than watch them fight each other. And I will say, not to relate it to reality TV, but I will. I think that we have watched the mentality of girls banding together and blaming things on boys as seasons of Love Island have progressed. I have watched every English-speaking country's Love Island. I need to be on my phone, so I can't watch ones with subtitles. Fair. To be like folding laundry or whatever. But I think like from season 1 to now of Love Island, UK, whatever country you watch, like it started out as like the girls competing. I think The Bachelor has done this to some extent too. And it's like, we love it. We're watching a girl fight over like this guy, and everyone's blaming and slut shaming the girl that's gotten in the middle. And I think the world, maybe through reality TV, has decided that it's actually, we can blame the guys, or we can like equally blame, like there's two people at play here when there's an issue that comes up, whether it's like a guy issue or a teacher issue. So the onus is no longer on just the girls, so it's easier for them to band together, and we owe it all to Love Island.
well, Sasha and I, we talked about Below Deck for a while. Sasha put me on Below Deck. Are you familiar with Below Deck franchise as well?
I've dabbled, but I love Kate, who's on Traders. So I know a little bit, but tell me.
Well, in Below Deck, the women fight each other, and the guys right there just like just bullets are flying past him, and he's just living his life being pretty and dumb, and the women are just at it, and they're better than that. And so I think maybe that's what it is, Sasha. Maybe it's just a jarring coming from our last podcast venture, which was Below Deck, to where every episode Sasha and I come podcast and she's fighting for her life, and I'm just like,
city girls are always down.
So I'm like, why are women like this? And then we come here and I'm just like, and they figured it out.
That's so funny. I mean, that has its place too, and I do appreciate that the challenge is still like everyone on that is as insane as ever, and they still have like a lot of girls fighting. So I like to have access to that. But I think it's just more fun to watch characters that you love also love each other.
Yeah, I love that. And how do all of you then balance, right, giving these characters enough screen time, and they're giving their stories, justice, right? Because to me, they're actually so diverse, sexuality, race, and all of it. And especially now Bella, trying to explore maybe something new. We don't know. We'll see. And, so how is the writer's room yet like having these conversations to make sure the arcs feel true to them?
Yeah, we do a lot of planning. And we do, I mean, sometimes it's kind of mathematical. It's like, again, Never Have I Ever was so different because it was about Davy, and then there were her friends. And so College Girls is like a math problem. It's like, there's 4 leads. There's also Leela and Willow and all those other characters we love. And then this season there was Taylor, and so and we have half an hour to do it. So it's I don't know if we succeed all the time. I'm sure we don't. And there's episodes where someone's a little heavier and someone's a little lighter. We often try to we always are like, okay, this is going to be the episode where these 2 characters are on a story together. And then we're always like, oh shoot, but if we do that, then we won't be able to have these characters get together. Like Bella can't be there in the room while Whitney and Isaiah are hooking up, or so, but we also want them together as much as possible, bouncing ideas off each other. So it's just math. It's like, or that's how I approach it. Other writers probably approach it with a little bit more like heart and soul. I'm like, we make note cards, and each note card is a specific color for whatever girl we're talking about. And we put them all up on the board, and we notice what colors are missing and who needs another scene. And then we kind of arrange them in order, and you can literally see where there's a gap. Like, oh, there's no blue note cards in Act 1. Or we were breaking an episode where we realized that Leighton's entire story took place in the second half of the episode. And we were like, well, we can't just have her in the group scenes being like, yeah, like, I agree. And then like, but I'll have a thing happening to me later. So yeah, it's kind of an impossible task. It would be much easier to work on a show where it's just like one person and their story.
Yeah, there's not really a lead per se, but I find it fascinating talking to you because I hear a lot of your comedy that resonates from the show, kind of just in our conversation. You throw a little shade at the theater kids, you know.
Right, that's literally, I was like, okay, Casey.
Right, and then you're watching the International Love Island with subtitles, but you can't because of your phone. How much would you say you put of yourself into the characters, and which characters do you resonate with the most?
I'm nervous to answer whoever the cool characters everyone loves are.
We love them
the
all.
Ones that are like me.
Love them.
And
whatever you stress us out equally.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So and they asked this in my like interview to work on the show too, because we read the pilot and then they brought us in with like that knowledge of what happened in the pilot. I went to a school that cost a lot of money, and I'm from Colorado, and I was much poorer than everyone else. And in that way, or it felt that way, like at Vassar. And so I related to that part of Kimberly. And I definitely like, there's like really specific examples of like in season 1 where Kimberly's trying to decide if an event is fancy enough to wear pantyhose. That's like literally like a conversation I had where I was like, I had a boyfriend when I was in my early 20s, and he was from like a very fancy family. And at one point I went to a wedding of one of their family friends, and I was saying to his mom that I needed to like stop somewhere and get like nylons, and she was like, what? And I was like, what do you mean? To cover my legs? And she was like, I don't think people wear that. It was like a 50-year-old woman. Like, no. So there's like moments like that are just straight up my actual life. The Bella stuff in the comedy world is very my experience of being a woman doing indie, like the kind of comedy that she does, and especially the part of like encountering creeps. I never personally did. I was lucky in that way, but everyone I know did, and I was around them for sure and collaborating with them without knowing it. And then the idea of like in season 1 of Carla, the other comedy girl, being also targeted was very like, I had just seen guys like pick the weird girl or the girl that people wouldn't care about or believe to target. So there's little things like all of that's a little darker than the pantyhose thing, but just a little bit,
but important.
Yeah. And then like the Whitney anxiety stuff, I don't think that that's me. I think that's everyone. But I had like this wasn't in the show, but I had like freshman year, I tried to go to a therapist at school, and the first thing I remember him saying to me, although I'm sure this isn't how the conversation went, but in my head he was like, sounds like you're not really happy here, maybe you should like transfer. And I was like, are you allowed to say that? Like, and I never went back. Like, I was like, well, I guess I'll fix my own brain and I'll never be back here. So definitely pieces of all of them. And then when there isn't that, there's someone you know that is like these people. So there's the person you know that's like I went to school with a lot of very wealthy private school New York kids like Leighton. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's my answer to that.
No, that's so interesting. I know I like got lost because I was just like listening the whole time.
Oh, also very importantly, anytime there's any reference to a reality show, that's clearly, there's a few of us in the room that are obsessed, and we do watch Love is Blind, and we like make bets about which couples will say yes at the, like we were very into Squid Game season 1 reality show. But like Survivor, like the girl going from the Survivor Teens was like definitely like me just being like, I don't know if we're allowed to say that they went to Survivor, but I can say Survivor Teens. But then on Never Have I Ever, there is a line where it's like, I was gone because I was on Survivor. I was like, maybe I could have just said Survivor, but maybe they'll hear it. They'll make a Survivor Teens. And I would watch that, maybe Jeff Probst will watch. I did used to watch Endurance.
Okay, yeah, you're OG like me. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
They have like people on YouTube have gone in and started making College Survivor for like different campuses, and they are heavily produced. I'm talking about some quality TV on YouTube and Survivor.
Yeah. One of our really good friends is like a villain on on Syracuse. Like,
who's a college student?
Yeah, they're
Syracuse, right?
Yeah. They're in college and they like film it on their phones. Yeah. So like they do their own confessionals, and then they have like people like obviously like watching them like do challenges or whatever. The challenges are like almost nothing. It's on college campus, but the interaction goes on throughout the semester. So they're like in class, and then like they meet up at the cafeteria and talk strategy. It's crazy.
Wow.
They put a lot of effort into it. So you were onto something with Survivor Team.
I'll never do another ounce of work. I'll be just watching. I'm already simultaneously watching Traders US and have a VPN where I'm watching Traders Canada. Like,
I'm
on Canada now. Like, I'm like so deep in every country. Okay, well, I'll have to get on that.
I'll send you some links.
Well.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Our friends have been on Survivor Philly, but that's not college. But Syracuse, we definitely know. They're apparently a villain, which if you met her, you would never think that. So it's very funny.
How did she become a villain? What's her flavor?
People were just attacking, and she was like, I can't help it that I'm just
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm better than you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, what did she do to deserve that? And you're like, wait.
Be a woman.
Right. There you go.
Be a black woman. Yeah.
That's fair.
But oh my gosh, Chappell, that's so funny. I'd also love to know how it's how y'all are able to in the writer's room, right? Like talk through given the limited amount of time you have, because you talked about doing math, and something I think Chappell and I have talked about a lot is, we just want more from this story. Like, who's right there? Like Whitney, I think specifically is who I feel, because I think she actually has so much going on compared to the other girls. I feel like where they have like one or two storylines, but Whitney, I feel like I'm just like, oh my god, everything about her is so cool. So how are y'all able to balance or not, right? Like you talked a little bit about that it's math, but you know that you have 30 minutes, not even, right? Something like that. And that's it. And you have max 10 episodes. So how do the pitches work with that to, get your story ahead, or, make sure that this is the most true to the characters? And who else has input in that?
Okay, good question. Let me organize my
sorry. That was a lot.
Should we just talk about Deal or No Deal Island?
Obviously.
So
so Dr. Will.
So we spend a couple weeks at the beginning of the writer's room. This is like, I think this is kind of typical for shows, but I'll just speak to how Sex Lives works. Will come in. Mindy and Justin, who co-created the show, and Justin's our showrunner, will tell us their plan and their thoughts. And they come in with kind of these like overarching season notions of like, this character is going to start here and they're going to end here, for all of our leads. And then there will be kind of B stories within that where it'll be like, also, I think delivery robots are funny. I want to do one where Leela lights them on fire because she hates them so much.
So good.
So that'll all be front loaded at the very beginning. We'll spend like a week on that, just like furiously trying to keep track of like what our leaders want the season to look like. And also, like, for example, coming into season 3, it was very much like Bella, this is like Bella's redemption tour. Like, she screwed up 1,000 things and now it's time for her to like really grow. But ultimately, we love that she does comedy and like we want her to find a way back there in a new way. So they'll come in with that. We will then do what's called blue skying, where you just throw stuff out. And we do it, I think, for a little longer than other shows do. We really like just say everything. We talk a lot about, Mindy and Justin will come in with love interests that they're excited about. And then we'll just talk a lot about who other like hot people in college and archetypes could be that we could play with. And then our, like, the executive producers, Mindy and Justin, will kind of like synthesize what the room has talked about into their favorite concepts or the ideas that like that the room responded to. Like, there's so many times when you say a thing and everyone's kind of like, okay, well, I have a different idea. And you're like, okay, that idea is not going to be in the show. I understand that. Or you can be a crazy person and be like, just to repitch the thing that I said that no one responded to.
Circling
but
back.
Like, did no one hear me say it? And they were like, no, we heard you and we were kindly ignoring you. Please move on. So you can tell what the room sparks to as well. And then, from there, we just start doing episode by episode breakdowns, keeping in mind where each character needs to, what like fence posts they need to hit, goal posts, tent poles. Fence posts.
Tent poles?
Sports.
Yeah, I like tent poles.
Yeah. What they need to hit and where, and then like also trying to just keep it so that, I mean, the show has so many hookups, breakups, heartbreak, academic success, academic failure, that to keep the girls on different tracks, not so much like for like, I think it would be fine if all 4 of them broke up in one episode. Like, sure, why not? But they all need to be there for each other. So you can't have all 4 of them necessarily going through a crisis simultaneously, because then there will be a group scene where they're all just like crying, which, you know what, now that I mention it, maybe that's like, good.
They're all on the floor in shambles.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's also kind of where the math comes in. Okay, yes. Was that an answer?
Yeah.
Oh no, love it. I have some questions about some specific character. Okay, so
gosh. Okay. I'm ready.
I'm trying to order my thoughts. Like, we do this here now. Okay, let's famously TV watchers love change. It's our favorite thing. We love when there's a show does something completely different. Like, I don't know, Layton leaves. How have y'all dealt
I had a
with?
question about that too.
Yeah, everyone loved when Layton left.
Right, I mean, famously, just like completely, just everybody's happy, 100% approval rating. How does it feel shifting, from a character as iconic and like such a magnetic character like Layton away? And how do you deal with kind of, I mean, obviously you probably get a lot of feedback about something like that, but trying to change the show in a way that it doesn't feel like you lose Layton completely. Like, it's not, you're just like ripping the Band-Aid off and just saying deal with it. But you also have to keep people invested, and so many people were invested in her character.
Yeah. I remembered part of Sasha's question that I didn't answer.
No, it's fine.
Can I chaotically do that first and then I'll do that?
Yeah.
Which is the other people that the writers and Mindy and Justin have like the most input in those things. And that's kind of it, but then also the studio and network. So Warner Brothers and Max weigh in on everything as well. And then beyond that, there's some other executive producers that have input. And then the actors, for the most part, are very down to just like trust us and go with it. But they do, they definitely will come in if something's really bumping them.
Okay.
And yeah, I think Aaliyah, who plays Whitney, has been really helpful with like, here's like a story I think would be fun for my character to deal with. I'm also remembering I didn't talk about how much she had going on, but we'll come back to that.
All good. No, that was just an example.
Okay. Yes.
All good.
Yeah. How do we deal with change? I mean, that was like obviously an impossible situation. Like you never ever want to have to write off one of the leads of your show. But again, we knew coming back from the writer's strike that was happening. And that was a situation where Mindy and Justin had really spent like, I think we had a couple weeks between the strike ending and the writer's room getting back together. They really elegantly kind of like plotted that out. And then we had some input of like the specifics of how it would work and how it feels to say goodbye to your friends. And I think the show overall embraced it in that way of that is college. I had a really good friend who left in the middle of the first year of college, and it's sad, but ultimately, I mean, I barely remember that guy. Like it feels so huge in the moment, but I think especially when you're in college, you are able to move on and form bonds with the new people that are around you. So that felt doable, at least, and it had to, because we had to do it. So like we had an option. But yeah, it's always, I mean, I think one way to also handle it is like, I don't really think about, I think when you go into what the audience would want, you're just in like dangerous territory. And it's I think about all the time how the TV show Smash, I think, was kind of the first bellwether of that, where people were weighing in on the chunky scarves that like Deborah Messing was wearing. And then season 2, it's like the chunky scarves are gone. And I think that like empowered audiences in the craziest way to be like, I tweet what I don't like and they change it. And so like, fans are cuckoo. And so I think keeping the focus on like the characters that you know and love and have created and helped write around, and what is authentic to them is kind of like how I like to approach change. And I think how we tried to do it on the show versus like what we thought people would want, because you can't, no one's ever happy.
No.
And Gracie, even though I was like, let's see how I feel about Casey, who's played by Gracie, because I was like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I feel like her lines are so funny, the way she delivers everything, and then the season finale. Like, are you kidding me? It's just, I was like, damn it, she won my heart. We're here.
Yeah. I think it was a big part of it. And I like the audience got to know her as the girl. The other 3 girls are our way in. And so we're going to probably feel about Casey the way they feel about her, would be my guess. Yeah. And so if they're annoyed by her, maybe the audience will be. And which is fine. She's kind of infiltrating this friend group. She's very different from all of them. But we knew pretty early on that we wanted them to rally around her. So that's like her boyfriend, who she came there, is cheating on. And again, I think Mindy and Justin came in with that idea of like, she's going to be annoying. A bad thing will happen to her. The girls, that will be the first moment of like, are we friends? And it was kind of fun because we got to build that season 1 with the girls, where they were like strangers who liked some things about each other, but were annoyed about some things. And so it was fun to be able to build that again. Because that also is so true to college. It's like your friends kind of shift. You meet new people who the first people you thought were your best friends aren't anymore. And these new people that come in are more your speed. So that was fun to do. Yeah. You had to grow Casey.
I like Casey. I came in. I was the Casey defender. I was like, I know we're all tied to. I was like, no, you gotta let her cook. Let her cook. And by the finale, all I saw on the Twitter was just people like, did you cry? I cried. I cried so much.
Yeah.
I was like, I know y'all did. My girl cooked. So, so I was very happy with what y'all did with Casey.
Yeah, she's so talented, and we watched her audition tape, and we were like, she's funny, and then we Googled her, and we're like, oh my god, she's like an incredible. She's a triple threat. Like, well, I guess I don't know if she's a dancer. The third one is dancing. She's at minimum a double threat. She could probably. Well, she did line dance, so she is a triple threat.
Yeah, she was killing it. Yeah,
but we were immediately like, she's amazing. Yeah.
Let's see. So we talked about Renee Rapp's character a little bit. We talked about Casey. Is it time to go to Bella, Sasha? Because I know that's your Davy replacement. You were telling me that Davy could have gone to this school, but I would not want her anywhere near Bella. Beth, this lady's unhinged. What are y'all doing with Bella?
How do you come up with Bella? I swear to God.
Yeah. Who
is she unhinged?
I love her.
She seems normal to me. Yeah, she's a wild woman. I think she more than any of them is like away from being under the thumb of her parents for the first time, and is just able to go absolutely wild. And I think that is, such a trope in college that's relatable to everyone, and is especially cultural to Bella. What's the question? What are we doing to her? She's crazy.
When she had sex with the mascot without seeing his face, I was like, Bella, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I think. Well, I was when I was a little bit more part of the like sketch comedy world and doing some stand up and things like that. I felt like a lot of what I did, and also perhaps the two of you as dramatic people in your own right, I would say, I did a lot of things like for the story.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I know the right thing to do here, but it'll be funnier if I do this.
Wouldn't it be funny? Exactly. Yeah. Woo, story of my life, actually.
Yeah. And that's why you're like people that talk. Like that's why you are what you are, is like you sacrifice it all for the story until it be like entertaining and fun. And I think that is a lot of what Bella does. If I'm going to psychoanalyze her, is like she's led by her horniness, and then she's also led by we see her, I think, in I forget if it's episode 9 or 10 of season 3, like, I have to hook up. It's like, it's for my art, actually, is the thing. Because people that don't do crazy things don't have fun stories. So yeah, I think that's part of it. I think she's just fun. I mean, it's fun to have, I like to have someone who you just want to reach through the TV and like shake and be like, why are you doing these things? But maybe other people want just more aspirational. Like, I think there's other versions of characters where where you're like, yes, and I want to be
Bella. Bella's Bella will have us in a blender in a different way than Davy had us in a blender, obviously. But still, but you just can't help but love her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think everyone both aspires to be like as messy as her and just have like the time of their life and act now and figure it out later, and the desire to like fix her. I think she's a really fun character to watch in that way.
Yeah, I like what you said about, doing something for the bit, for the story, because it's going to be funnier. And I love that in that we see that in season 3 that does become Bella's comedy. She lands on that. But it doesn't seem like that was why she was doing it like consciously, but it just turned into exactly what you were saying. It's why we all end up people who like to talk, because we do the things and then we realize, oh wait, it kind of works when we talk about it later on,
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'll take one for the team. I'll make a huge mistake that will maybe ruin my life, but I do this for you.
It's fine. I'll come in costume. Like nobody asked you to do that.
Us talking about the playlist.
Yeah.
Our comments were in shambles when Chappell and I said we don't do playlists.
Yeah. Why were people mad about that?
No, they were just like, "What do you mean? Just quiet?" And we're like, "Well, no one said quiet."
No, it's like, and then the whole time we're like, our boss is going to hear this. Are we okay? Are we okay to say this? Like, we'll figure it out later
Yeah,
on.
I
It'll be
know. Our
funny.
boss is watching Sex Lives of College Girls currently.
Perfect. Love
Yeah,
it.
we got Rob on it. So yeah, hopefully he
Amazing.
doesn't go listen to the podcast and scold us later on. But we
He
did it for the bit.
cannot listen.
Well, you have to. I mean, that's the same. Like when I go to work on this show, we're sitting around like telling the craziest stories. Like in season 2, when someone shows up at Leighton's door and has like a brown paper bag with the underwear Leighton left in her room, like that happened to a writer in our room. Like while she was dating other people. So it's like, it's the weirdest job because you are just like, here's a totally personal thing I did that if I talked about this at a law firm, I would get fired immediately. So you're just doing your job is the thing.
No, I truly love. Yeah, and speaking of that, how do y'all navigate, right, like humor with these kind of sexual exploration and empowerment, right? Because we're still talking about young women at the end of the day. So I feel like because of the society we live in, we have to have a little bit of empowerment in some way. It just if we're wanting to make a positive aspirational show in that way. So how is that balanced? Especially when you're gonna have to sit in the writer's room and share how this one time this happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we also talk a lot at the top of seasons about issues that girls in college might go through that are a little bit more dramatic or that aren't just like I'm sleeping with a mascot without seeing his face. Like that's like pure comedy. Nothing dramatic happens there. And then but then we do talk about like what are some mistakes that girls could make that would impact their life, and that's kind of where the idea of Whitney's meltdown came from, and where the idea of Kimberly getting arrested came from, and Bella cheating and all of that. So it's like we kind of plot those out. That's first. And then it'll be like, what could be funny about this scene? So it's like very early on when we were talking about Whitney having a panic attack, I think we knew that she and Kanan would be back together by the end of the season. And one of our writers was like, he should like lay on her like a weighted blanket. So like started there.
That was
we were like, that would be like cute and funny and like would take a little of the teeth out of the scene that otherwise could be like, suddenly we're in just a full drama. So we're always, it's very conscious, and there's writers in the room that are great at those stories and those dramatic stories. And then we have writers from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and New Girl and like all of these hilarious shows that are just like joke assassins and just pitching great stuff to fill in around the dramatic stuff.
You said that you really kind of relate, I guess, to Kimberly just on a basic level of just like, y'all have like similar backgrounds, but Kimberly stresses me out because I always feel like she's like, I know she's very much trying to become, somebody who works in law and, a Supreme Court justice. But this woman's almost got put out of school like 3 times already. And this is only season 3. Do you find her to be the most fun to write for? Because I think her storylines are always the most fun, despite how much she's gone through.
Is she? Well, I don't know that there's one that's most fun to write for. I think maybe her path is like the most relatable of like, I think the whole idea of college is like you go in with one set of expectations, you come out with another. Like mine wasn't the craziest. Like I went in thinking I would be a theater actor and I came out wanting to do comedy. Like that's not like a huge leap. But I also went in, thinking I would date a bunch of guys. And I came out a single hag. So like,
how dare you talk about my friend Beth like that?
Listen, it's fine. I've dated plenty of people. I'm married. It's all worked out.
Kimberly has a sex problem, so it's okay.
Yeah, Kimberly is an
They
addict.
all do. I think they're all addicts. But
Kimberly gets
she's the only one that's
finest
worried
dare.
about it.
Yes.
No, my favorite part of the last season is when she herself is like comments on how many hot guys she slept with since her first boyfriend.
Yeah, she cooked.
Like,
He cheated on her, and she just took off. Okay,
She's
and,
like, hi. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's equally fun to write about any of them having these mind-blowing realizations of like Kimberly. I think Whitney was really, and Leighton were really fun in season 1 because their whole worlds got turned upside down. Whitney with her romantic story, and then Leighton with all of the Kappa. Although I guess Leighton's was almost a 2-season arc.
Yeah.
Where she comes out, yes, but it's not till season 2 that she's like, and I don't even want to do Kappa. And like, I'm totally different than I was. So I think anyone who has a big change in that way is really fun to write for. And I think with Kimberly, I think she's actually a little bit on a slower path of discovery because like you said, she just keeps making these mistakes. She came in focused on being Doug and Kamala with her boyfriend. He was gone. She kept the Kamala dream and the Supreme Court dream. Like that's been her the whole way through, and being a lawyer that works her way up and all of that. And I think she's still realizing that she needs to change. So I think it's fun to have them on different trajectories of how far along they are in terms of knowing who they are, who they want to be when the college is done versus when they came in. And I do think Kimberly is kind of still holding on to that a little bit. And then just, I mean, she's so naive. She's definitely the most naive of them, just making mistakes constantly, although they all are. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question. They're all, I do like writing for all of them.
Love it.
They're all your favorite.
But I can't pick between my children.
That's so real. I love to also explore a little bit more, speaking of showmances, where how and you spoke about how maybe the showrunners pick them, but is there a certain type that y'all are like, oh, this is the person that we want our girls to end up with? And obviously it might be different for a different person, but I'm just thinking a lot about how they're almost all in interracial relationships. With at least one character being white. It's just very interesting to me. That especially when Arvin showed up and I was like, yeah, oh my God, Bella's with an Indian. What the heck is gonna happen here? So I'd love to know, like, is it just like characters that are picked that, hey, I just like Kanan and I want Kanan back? Or is it like specifically Whitney needs X, Y, and Z personality and that's why Kanan is back?
Yeah. So yeah, on the Kanan thing, I don't even know if I should say this, but I'll just give you the scoop from season 1. I think in the original pilot, Whitney, lean in, get ready.
Yeah, you see me, yeah. Okay.
You're gonna be so disappointed. I like set it up way more exciting than
I love mess.
This is more just a compliment to the guy who plays Kanan, Chris. But basically, I think in the original pilot, Whitney like Kanan was Kimberly's coworker. Whitney met a guy at a party who had a different name and like hooked up with him. And then we like, obviously this is all amidst like being with the coach and all of that. And then we did a table read for the pilot and Chris was so good and we just fell in love with him. And he hadn't been cast when they wrote the pilot. And one of the writers was like, why find someone else? Like, he's amazing. And so that was kind of how that developed. That's the thing where I'm like, am I allowed to say that? I think so. It's not like someone else got cast and then we like
exactly
fired them.
Right.
So sometimes it's casting.
Okay.
And then sometimes it's built in right from the beginning. I think with like Bella and Eric was always going to be a stand-in for the guys on the Lampoon at Harvard who are all white. And that is like although our writers room is almost all women and is very diverse, and that feels so lucky to be in that kind of environment. I've definitely written on shows where they were like, all our girls left. Can we find a girl? And then I'm like there, and I'm just the girl. And then like they're like, all the guys are like invited to the boss's like Super Bowl party and talking about it. And I like look, and maybe there's one other girl, and I'm like, did you get invited? She's like, I did not get invited. So very lucky. I don't want to go to a Super Bowl party anyway. I don't even know what I'm saying fence post, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's very lucky. But that's like where Eric comes from. So it's like by necessity of that. So it's always a different thing. That it's sometimes casting as well. Like we go in with one idea, and then we're like not quite finding the guy that we love for that, and it just goes in a different direction. But I wouldn't say that the like girls being in interracial relationships is like yeah, I don't know. It's something I demand, actually.
Yeah,
it's
fair.
my idea. I said I will walk otherwise. But I mean, yeah, the Arvind stuff was so fun to work with. And I know Nabil from the UCB world, and he's just like the funniest, greatest person. So we were really lucky to find him. But his name was Arvind, all right. Like that was planned from the beginning. That was like not a casting thing. Yeah. So sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
I think there's a really funny line in maybe the premiere of season 3 where Leela comments on it and is like, I don't mind like interracial relationships in real life, but on TV, stick to your own race. Like, I think that's a very, very funny line in that episode.
Leela, my queen.
We've learned through watching the show, maybe just don't listen to Leela. You know, like hear Leela, but don't
what do you mean?
listen to Leela.
It's so hard because she is thriving.
Yeah.
And so you would think she would have good advice because her life seems amazing. And yet it really, we all have that friend where like it works only for them. And if you try to do what they do, you're not gonna, you're gonna be like, trying to peg your boyfriend that doesn't want it. So
or punch another one in the balls.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So much stress. So much stress in the sex lives of these college girls.
So much stress. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. I would also love to know a little bit, about either writer room. It can be for either shows or just in general. What has been your favorite moments of the writer's room that it doesn't have to necessarily be about the show, but just in general. What like stands out to you, or most memorable moments from these sessions?
Okay. Yeah, that is a great question. The Never Have I Ever season 3 writers room was on Zoom. Because it was we were still pandemicing. So that was on Zoom. So it was like, but we still had a great time. Like there's a lot of antics that are like Zoom filter based comedy was really quite prevalent in the writers' rooms of 2020 to 2023. But the moments when we could get together and have little like parties and gatherings, those were always a blast. I mean, for that writer's room, and this isn't even like writer's room dynamics, but a great part of that experience was, I guess I had mentioned enough that I was in SAG that it allowed me to be on the show. Ooh. So getting to make that transition into being the poop doctor, as she's known, that was really special and really exciting. And so it was fun to be on set for that and like get to meet the 2 boys and talk to them. So that was a cool part of that. On College Girls, the writers' room, we have a lot of fun together. There's a lot of snack-based camaraderie. There's a lot of talk of protein. We're a real protein-focused bunch. We sometimes will get really punchy late at night, and it'll be like, we're going to play a game where someone leaves, goes to the kitchen, comes back and chews like this, like with their mouth covered, and then you have to guess what they're eating. It's basically like insane games. We have a lunch wheel that was invented on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and now has like disseminated to both Lang, who was a showrunner for Never Have I Ever, and Justin, who showruns College Girls, wrote on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And so they both had lunch wheels in their rooms where you spin a wheel and you can like veto and do all sorts of different things. There's like a spin again, there's a replace and spin and that's how you like decide where everyone's getting lunch, which always caused like huge fights because lunch, you just don't want to mess with people's food while they're on like a 14-hour workday. That was really fun. We also we did a Secret Santa where one of our writers basically did a Squid Games like for the room and had like a friend come onto the Warner Brothers lot in like the outfit and like deliver a package.
Oh my God.
Like, and we were just screaming, like it was just a room full of screaming people, so excited to do. It was like we had to like do dice rolling elimination games, and so that was really fun. And then sometimes we wrote the show too, but
that's just the part of it.
Yeah,
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I wanted to also wrap things up by ask a question about what advice would you give folks that are trying to get into this industry, become a writer, in general, because you're so multi-talented.
Oh my gosh, thank you. My advice would be to just lurk around a comedy theater for a really long time until your friends hire you. And no, I think the advice is like, create things, put them out there, whatever that means to you, whether it's writing a pilot or making a comedy video or putting up a live comedy show. Just always be like creating the thing that is your voice that you find funny and interesting. And as you are collaborating with people or picking people to collaborate with, work super hard so that they know of you as a hard worker be authentic to what you find funny and interesting and who you like to work with, because people will like sniff that out. Like, is this person authentic and are they really putting their own voice out there? And just be ready then when the opportunity comes to you, like you've been creating these things. So when someone comes to you and says, do you have a thing that's relevant to this project? And again, that person is most likely going to be like a peer or a former peer of yours, rather than like, Lauren Michaels isn't going to like email you and ask for your SNL packet. So to be ready when they come, be ready when they come for you. Yeah, it sounded scarier than I meant for it to sound, but that's what I would say.
Yeah,
and do it while you can. Like you'll start to get tired. So really hit it while you can. Hit it before you get exhausted.
Do it when you're young. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I love this wisdom. Do it before they come. Be ready before they come for you, and hit it when you can. Okay, like ready.
Very
Listen, yeah. And I would like those to be taken out of context. And yeah,
I love that for us. Oh my gosh, perfect. And honestly, one last question, unless Chappell has anything as well, but I would love to know, is there a project you're wanting to work on besides writing for Survivor, of course, or a story that you're most excited or you're ready to tell?
Yes, and I am working on something new, and it is reality television based, but I don't know how much I can say about
That's
it.
Right. We're so excited. Let us know when it happens.
It is inspired by dating reality television, and so that is the story. That's the like, this is meaningful to the world. The world needs to hear this story. So there's that. I mean, there's all sorts of things in the works. But I think what's been so lucky is that I've gotten to work on shows about female friendship and like just those are the stories that I enjoy. So it's just been like so unbelievably lucky that I've gotten to work on those versus like sometimes you'll just get hired and it'll be like, this is a show about a 70-year-old married couple, and you're like, okay, well, I can do that too. But that's been very gratifying. So it's kind of a non-answer, but
no, we like a
or I can
teaser
say
here.
more. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Beth, where can the people keep up with you? Where can we follow you and see what you're working on? What you got, social media or anything you want to plug right now before we wrap up?
Yeah, I do have social media. It's an unfortunate handle. It's Appel Sass.
I
like apple sauce, kind of, but it's also Appel's ass, which I didn't realize. And at some point I should probably just make it my name, but I don't want to have to fight another Beth Appel for the handle.
My social media handle was Chappell's Show, and I just feel like it's been taken, so I totally understand.
No, that's the first I've heard of that.
The first one,
right? Phrase.
Yeah. Sometimes it's Chappell's Ho, it just depends on how you read it.
Yeah, I guess and I post like BTS stuff of college girls and occasionally, and then I perform live improv in LA quite a bit. So I do Ask Cat at the Upright Citizens Brigade on Sundays, and just around town from time to time, less so than I did pre-pandemic. But yes, I'm around and I'm on Instagram for now. And I'm still on Facebook. So I don't know why, but
that 70-year-old couple. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I can learn about their culture, the culture of the olds.
Correct. Perfect. Thank you so much, Beth, for joining us, for giving us your time and all of these stories. We're so grateful. We can't wait to catch up again. And listen, when you become the Survivor writer, we're the first podcast. You have to come on.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been so much fun. And if you enjoyed it, listen, give us a like, put us in the comment and follow Beth. All right. Let her know you enjoyed it too. And with that, thank you everyone for listening. And hopefully we'll be back for another season, ? But with that, thank you everyone. Bye.